Global happenings today. We communicate. We analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, my people. Welcome back to our channel. We're so excited to have you again. The sole administrator in Rivers State, Ibas, has finally reacted to the consistency in protesting against his government by the women wing of the Simplified movement for quite a while now. I think for a period of more than 1 week, the women has been on the street in different local government registering their displeasure and calling on Bola Tinubu to take away Ibas and return back the democratically elected governor, talking about the suspended governor similar Fubara. Though there are some underground things going on between Fubara and the president, but the consistency has not been called off, as the youth wing also some few hours ago decided to join storming the street, but Ibas seems not to allow his patience to flow with it again, as he has sent out a very strong message across to all and sundry, especially the Simplified movement, over these protests against his government. And he says he has a sweeping power. But let's look at full details of what he had to tell the people of Rivers State and those who are consistently protesting against him. Now, according to the news, the senior special advisor on media to the Rivers State sole administrator, Hector Ibas, has stated that the Gazette imposing emergency rule in the state granted the sole administrator sweeping powers. Hector issued a warning to supporters of the suspended governor, similarly Fubara, urging them to exercise restraint in light of ongoing protests against the state sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibas, retired. Speaking, Hector described the continued protests by Fubara supporters as a test of Ibas' resolve. However, he emphasized that the sole administrator has chosen to exercise restraint rather than use the broad powers granted to him by the Gazette. President Bola Tinubu had on March 18 imposed a state of emergency on Rivers State, suspending Governor Similare Fubara, his deputy Professor Ngozi Odu, and the state lawmakers for 6 months. He then appointed Ibas to run the state during the 6-month period, but the emergency rule declared by the president has been generating controversy, with many pro-Fubara groups staging protest rallies in the state capital, Port Harcourt. Reacting to the situation on Tuesday, Ibas said that the fact that people are able to protest speaking to the administrator's level of tolerance. I repeat that again. He said that the fact that people are able to protest speaks to the administrator's level of tolerance. If you check the Gazette declaring emergency rule, you will see that it grants the administrator sweeping powers. Yes, sweeping powers. But fortunately for Rivers residents, the administrator has exercised restraint. These protests, for whatever reason, are testing the administrator's will. We urge now Rivers and residents to be restrained. It is important that we allow a cool head to prevail at this time. All hands must be on deck to restore democratic institution. Hector stressed that the restoration of institution in the state will not be achieved through protest, harassment, or attempt to intimidate the administrator. Such actions are unnecessary. When asked if the sole administrator was taking steps to address the concern of the protester, Ibas confirmed that as part of his peace-building effort, Ibas has been engaging with various stakeholders groups in the state. The administrator met with the leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria in the state. Today, they had lengthy discussion, and the CAN leadership provided advice on the way forward and the things they would like to see done. This meeting took place at the administrator's initiative, and he is making arrangements to meet with other important stakeholders in the state. According to him, this engagement reflects Ibas' commitment to restoring democracy in Rivers State. This speaks to his preparedness, his mindset. He is fully committed to restoring democracy in Rivers State. When asked about the administrator's response to the invitation from the House of Representatives, Hector gave a brief reply. He said, "No, we don't have a date yet." Meanwhile, a coalition of concerned citizens from Rivers State has called for an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the declaration of a state of emergency in the state by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The group condemned the move, labeling it unconstitutional and a grave abuse of executive powers. In a strongly worded open letter addressed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and copied to the National Assembly and international bodies, the group demanded the immediate reversal of the emergency rule and the reinstatement of Governor Similar Fubara, his deputy Odo, and all the suspended members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. The letter, which was signed by prominent figures including Dono Kogbara, Aleruchi Kukigam, Dem Ibem, Lloyd's Uku, that's Nadeko USA Stroke Project Coordinator, Julie DR Coordinator Stroke, and 19 orders was made available to these men on Wednesday. The signatories accused the president of violating constitutional provision, particularly Section 305, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, which outlines strict criteria for the declaration of state of emergency. These include war, external aggression, national or natural disaster, or breakdown of public order beyond the capacity of regular law enforcement. The letter reads in part, Dear President Tinubu, we the people of Rivers State and concerned citizens of Nigeria right to express our utmost outrage and condemnation of your recent declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State and subsequent suspension of the democratically elected governor, His Excellency Sasimidare Fubara, Deputy Governor Professor Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. The action reflects a blatant disregard for the constitutional right of the people of Rivers State and is a gross abuse of executive power. It is not only dangerously unconstitutional but also undermines the democratic principle upon which our nation is built. The group further described the declaration as a deliberate subversion of the people's will and a consolidation of power by the federal government. They demanded a full investigation to identify those responsible for misleading the president and plunging the state into what they call political uncertainty. In their words, they say, we urge you to respect the quasi-autonomy of Rivers State and allow the democratic process to proceed without interference. The people of Rivers State have the right to self-determination and to choose which leader without external influence, the group has spoken. Wow. Now, interestingly, the greatest concern right now is the fact that Ibas is not happy about the protests. It was almost on a daily basis. We see the streets packed with people, and these are not people who are paid. We see elderly people being part of it. Some pensioners who have enjoyed, the seasons of consistent payment of salaries. All of them were reacting. And I think it has finally gotten the attention of Ibas. I think that was what the people were actually looking for. And instead of them to come out to tell Nigerians the progress thus far and possibly when to report back to the president that calm has been restored back to Rivers State, Hector is telling the people of Rivers State that there is a gazette for emergency rule and it empowers the administrator to use sweeping powers. Akonda, he has given him sweeping powers. But come on, whether we like it or yes, this is a democratically elected government. This is not military. So whatever restraint that you must put in place, you've got to do it, because by constitution, provision of constitution, section 305, section 1 to 6 clearly points to when emergency rules should be brought in. And there was no mention of a sole administrator, because that was to protect the democracy itself. But however it has happened, I think that Ibas should do all within his power, like what he's doing now, consulting with key stakeholders in the state to see how, before that period of 6 months, Rivers State bounced back as a democratic state. They are the people that elected the government. They have the right, in the middle of democracy, to have a democratically elected governor, which they have already gotten. So everything should be allowed to flow in the right direction so that peace will be restored back to Rivers State. Already, there was no problem, Sha. We are just using those words just because of the protest, because before now, there was no protest like that in Rivers State. But let's wait and see what the government will do in respect to this consistency in protesting, because from all indication, the people want to see that a change is brought in.